Okay. So this is all in preparation to what they call the phase 2 planning, which is the actual get your feet and hands dirty doing the actual planning. And so ISC has paid for this phase 1, and so that's good. That has helped with funding Travis as well. So what do we complete in phase 1? Well, we identify the community members that are interested in participating in the planning process. So often there's, the whole community, but there's a core group that really wants to be involved. And so you can establish an advisory committee or something like that. So it's about setting those in place. We do community surveys and meetings, develop a vision and goals for Nee-Tahi-Buhn and the CCP, and establishes communication protocols and advisory committee, and also completes a terms of reference for the CCP. In other words, it basically outlines how the phase 2 planning will proceed, what it would cover, who would be involved, all those sorts of things. So what is strategic planning? So it's important to know that the CCP doesn't really get down into the nitty-gritty details of plans. So as an example, a strategic direction might be, we need to increase tourism opportunities to create jobs. Whereas a more operational type strategy is, we're going to produce a tourism brochure in 2022 and upload it to our website. So one is very high level and one is more operational level. And there's another example. So a strategic direction that would be very akin to CCP is, we need to supply more housing for our members on our reserves, or this reserve is the highest priority for getting more housing, those sorts of things. An operational or a tactical level planning is that the infrastructure is then planned, and it's the details, the civil engineering, how the water and the sewer and where the roads are going to go and all that sort of thing. So that's really the operational level, and the CCP doesn't get into that level, because if you did, you get so bogged down into details, it would just create havoc. And also, the CCP is so big and it's involved with so many things that if you got down to that operational level, there would be a lot of too many unknowns at that time, so it's better to kind of keep to the high level first and then hive off what you want to do in more detail. So a CCP covers the long-term vision for itself and your community. So how do you see the nation develop and use its lands in the next 20 to 50 to 100 years? And where do you want your community to grow? How can services be improved? So healthcare, elder care, education. How can economic development, local jobs be improved? So it's not just about housing, but it's a whole bunch of areas that affect your community and your nation. Other things is what should be done to improve the development and opportunities for youth in your community. How can we ensure that Nee-Tahi-Buhn's culture and language remain strong for generations to come? How do we protect your lands and resources from loss and damage? So these are all very strategic, high-level kinds of things that the CCP would cover. Again, what infrastructure is needed and where to support, where does this support development? How can your governance be improved? How can we better address emergency responses like house fires and wildfires, those sorts of things? So you can see that it's a really holistic approach. Many topics are covered that affect the long-term sustainability and viability of your community. And the connections between these topics needs to be considered. So what you might decide for economic development, you'll need to consider how does that affect education or healthcare or housing. So all these things have to be kind of considered together. It also helps to ensure projects are well thought through and is the best use of resources. So as you're moving forward and you've got sort of this big plan, it tries to then prioritize and say, well, this is the biggest priority. Like we've heard housing, for example, and what resources can we funnel into that to make sure that priority gets done. So a core principle of CCPs is the sustainability, and the definition from the Brundtland Commission that's been around for years now is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. As I say, this is a guiding principle. So what a CCP does not do, it doesn't create detailed plans for housing subdivision infrastructure. So it can identify that as a priority, can identify where you want to develop, how many houses you may want to put into an area, but it actually won't create those really detailed water and sewer and civil plans that are needed. It creates a detailed capital plan. It won't create a detailed capital plan. It doesn't secure funding for the development in the future. So that would be another phase, but a CCP does help in that if ISK sees that you've got a CCP done and approved, it's a checkbox in their funding applications. So that part is kind of helpful. And it doesn't solve immediate issues. So if you need a new roof on your house or you've got a problem with your septic field, it doesn't solve those problems. Those are kind of still more operational. So this whole thing can be a bit of an issue for some people, because in community, there's people that are waiting years to get something fixed, and then a CCP doesn't really help with that. So some people you'll find will get frustrated by CCP because it's not really helping them now. Like I need to get this down now, and it's not helping them with that. So sometimes that can be a bit of an issue that you have to work through. Benefits of a CCP, well, it provides empowerment to your community. Once the community is involved and engaged and chief and council sign off on it, it provides that guidance and that empowerment of the community and your leadership working together in a direction that you all agree you want to move in. It improves efficiency and coordination because you've got everything in one document for your long-term planning. It builds teamwork and expertise and promotes healing within the community. So we've seen examples where, you know, there's been issues between different departments or even families, and through the process, they've come together. And, you know, in a number of CCPs, we've held celebrations and things like that to honor events or families, and so it can be used for that. And obviously with Travis on board now, you've got that capacity to kind of bring people together to build those strategies. So that's really helpful. It protects important resources. So, you know, the lands that you've got, just making sure that you're going to be using them wisely through the future. It celebrates traditions and culture. Most CCPs, there's a strong priority from communities to look at how do we protect our language and culture and how do we celebrate that. So the CCP can actually provide strategies for doing that. And it helps create economic development opportunities. So, you know, those are all kind of benefits. This is a quote from Gwen Phillips of a nation that has gone through a CCP. And she said that planning is an opportunity to empower our community and our people. It strengthens our connections to our inner selves and to the outer world. So what is needed for a successful CCP? Well, a commitment from chief and council, and you obviously have that now. Community engagement and support, and that is building very well with Travis's help. And leadership, I should say, Travis, not just your help, but you're really leading all of that. The capacity building, training, and mentorship. And again, this is Travis's role. You don't want to rely on somebody like me to come in and do this planning all the time. So hopefully in phase two, Travis will take more and more of a lead on that. And maybe I'm just in the background supporting them, working with them. And eventually you don't need any consultant to come in. You can do your own planning and that sort of thing. So it's really helpful to use this as a mentoring opportunity. Yes, absolutely. And communications and social media, well, we could see, you know, we really need to use Zoom for reaching out to off reserve members. Social media is has a really big role in this. Often communities will develop a Facebook page and people can monitor the progress on that. And communications out, like regular newsletters going out, like there should be one going out after maybe this meeting, for example, and then obviously resources. So we've got funding from ISC, which is good. We'll have to apply for more funding for phase two for you guys. Yeah, I think so. Or no, I think before that. Yeah. Was it okay? So now, for those of in the room here, we've sort of poured over the big maps, and those that are on Zoom, I was just going to walk through the maps that we prepared for the CCP, and oh, okay. So this is the overall map showing. I don't know if people can see my cursor on the Zoom, but we've obviously got Wincha East. It's IR 13A, and then Easter Island is 13, and the Amanika IR 1, which is where we are now. This little blob in here is lot 1, where the band office is. Francois Lake IR 7, and then Isaac Lake IR 8. So we're zooming into Amanika. So here's where we are right now in the band office. And here's apparently this is going to be Frank's future house. You're going to convert that into your house, Frank? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if folks heard that, but Frank was saying that it takes extra planning to work on how these reserves are going to use for the community because they're on the south side and you need the ferry access. But also there isn't a really well-defined central community like in Stalaco, for example. Stellarton has a very core community to it. And we've got residences in Francois and Uncha and Omanika. And so one of the things the CCP can talk about is as you expand over the next decades, is it the Omanika 1 where you want your community to develop, where your public buildings will be? You know, in future, you may have like a rec center or something, or outdoor hockey arena, something like that. You know, a health center, an elder center, youth center, all these different public buildings, right? Is this the place where you'll want that or the place? So these are the kinds of things that we'll get into with the planning. Francois Lake. So this is a really, really beautiful place. And this is also connected, I think, to the three nation water system, but individual septic system. And there's Isaac Lake, IR8. And I don't think anybody's living here full time. Is there? There's a cabin here. Right. Okay. Yeah, it looks like that. And Uncha Lake. So this is Nee-Tahi side and the Nee-Tahi-Buhn side here. And most of the housing down here, again, connected to the Three Nations water system, but on individual septic system. And I guess this is the cemetery here. So the overview of the current development. So lot 1 on Ominika IR1 is current location of the community hall, band office, and some storage. There's some plans for future development on this lot. There are houses in Ominika, Uncha Lake, and Francois Lake. And the Three Nations water system supplies drinking water to Ominika, Uncha Lake, and Francois Lake. And houses are currently on individual systems. So what would be the next steps? What we're proposing is to continue on gathering information from elders and from file material. Then we need to complete the community profile. I think the community profile will probably be kept as a draft, because as we move through the CCP, we'll probably get more and more information we can add to it. So we'll be able to share that as a draft fairly soon. I would like to have a follow-up meeting with members, and a lot of folks hopefully will come on by Zoom, but to start talking about issues and challenges and opportunities and threats, sort of that kind of high-level assessment, and then create terms of reference for phase 2 for the CCP planning. It's a bit of a challenge. Usually we break into workshop style, with lots of people and sitting around tables talking about the opportunities and the threats and issues and challenges. We'll have to figure out a way of doing this so that Zoom people can really participate somehow with that. So we'll just have to kind of see what maybe other people have done with that type of meeting over Zoom. So in the preparation for the next meeting, so folks on the Zoom meeting and everybody in the room, so start thinking about what you see as your vision for Nee-Tahi-Buhn in the long term. And what are the issues that are top of mind for you to address? What do you think are the biggest challenges going forward? What opportunities should the nation focus on first? And how will Nee-Tahi-Buhn measure its success building a stronger nation? So these are the kinds of things on our next meeting we would talk about. And so these are kind of takeaways to kind of think about. Mm. Right. Yeah. One of the things that, because housing is such a big issue, there could be a decision made fairly early on about which reserve would be the highest priority for your next housing, and make sure that gets in your FNIP for all the servicing and that sort of thing. So that's something to, like, not waiting for a CCP to get finalized, but sort of starting to make some decisions on it now. I know in talking with the chief, there is some definite priorities for getting those housing done as quickly as possible, so. Yeah, that's great. So I can now go through, I guess, are there any comments or anything from the chat, from the folks on? Oh. Okay. Any comments or questions from the folks on Zoom? Make sure you unmic if you do have a comment. Thought I did too. And turned up pretty high. Okay.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Can hear you now.
Hi. I just have a question or a comment about the internet connection, as the meeting has been cutting in and out. Our community has been offered an opportunity from TELUS for optics, or what was it called? Fiber optics. And I don't know if the community would be interested in something like that.
What did they?
So that is something you could talk to the community about. We have to schedule a meeting of towns and host a community about it.
Okay.
Solve them on that. But I think it's a good option.
Okay. The other thing you, yeah, that's right. Okay. Okay. I mean, the other thing that's coming on stream pretty you know, within the last year or so is the Starlink. Lots of folks are signing up to that, and it's 200 up to 200 megabytes a second. It's people I've talked to has been very good service for them. They have had very little problems with it, so might be something you could look at as well.
We looked at it and originally we could buy a credit card to make partial payments on it out, but now we have to buy a full payment.
Okay.
And with the new Starlink, would be ideal for us to transportable.
Yeah.
Office to
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to be signing up for it this fall at our house because we're on basically just something better than dial-up. Yeah. Okay. I'll start. I'll go through. So this is a high-level kind of summary of the survey. Did everybody fill out a survey here? Yeah. Good. Okay. Okay.
I personally
Yeah. Right. Okay. So we had 21 responses, and they're all band members that responded. It was started in February 15th, and I think we closed it down, I think April, I think it was. We weren't getting any more responses, so. The age category, you can see it's a very good distribution of age categories right across the board. Nobody under 18, but that was really good. A lot more females than males. You can see, so that might bias the the survey. About half of the people said they had children under the age of 18. And only about 11–12% of the respondents said they actually lived on reserve, one of Nee-Tahi-Buhn's reserves. So most of the people that filled out the survey were from off reserve. So how many people currently live in your house? So 1 to 2 people, more than half, and 3 to 4 people, just over 40%. Can't read the top of my screen. Where do they currently live? So folks in Burns Lake, Southside, Prince George, almost over a third of folks live elsewhere in BC, and about 10% live elsewhere in Canada. So you're quite spread out. Yeah. So if you don't live on one of the reserves, can you tell us why you choose to live elsewhere? So the biggest reason was lack of housing, but other reasons were that they have a job elsewhere. There weren't enough services here. It's not enough to do around the area. Some folks like living in a larger city. Some folks are actually living on a different reserve because of marriage. Some folks, it's because of family reasons. They need to be somewhere else. And there's other reasons as well. So what if, in terms of how land is used and the sense of community, rank what you think is the most important? So you can see the ones that are most important is around community and growth, the third one down, and creating community cohesiveness. But there's also quite a lot of priority around using our lands for, I think that's for traditional uses, having a healthy and safe community, the diverse type and quality of housing, more activities and things to do, clean air and water, sustainability and clean air. Not sure what that one was. Cut off there. So lots of things that are coming up as a priority here. So again, you can see how a CCP then is trying to cover off education, health, the environment, jobs, long-term security, all of those things, because these are all quite important to people. What do you think are the 5 highest priorities, most important for those to improve living in Nee-Tahi-Buhn? So we've asked people just to check 5 boxes. So not surprising, the most important priority was more housing. Second most important was keeping our culture alive. Then better access to counseling. And other ones were elders housing, improved internet, more support to hunting and trapping, better and more services, improved information to community from leadership and staff, and creating a community center. And then there were some other ones as well. So housing and traditional uses and those sorts of things are pretty important. if you live in a house in one of Nee-Tahi-Buhn's reserves, please let them know how satisfied you are with your houses. So about 12% were satisfied with the house, but others had sort of specific things that they weren't happy about their house. And we've got kind of the list of them that Travis has around that. So it may be something that's not working or broken in the house or needs to be repaired. What do you think should be the next highest priorities for community buildings or services at Nee-Tahi-Buhn? So again, housing comes out as number one, and then access to culture and traditional uses and language. So again, trying to keep that, the nation, the culture, and the history alive. Then things to do for kids. High-speed internet again is coming up. Proper band office and medical clinic. School for K-7, fire protection, and indoor recreation. So you can see quite a array of priorities here, but again, housing comes out as number one again. So we're hearing loud and clear what the chief has been telling us. Are you planning to return to one of Nee-Tahi-Buhn's reserves in 5 years? And over 40% said yes, they would. And then 50% said maybe. So there's a lot of pent-up demand to come back to your community. When we plan for community meetings on Nee-Tahi-Buhn CCP, how would you like to participate? So a few people can participate in person, but overwhelmingly, we got a response that people want to be involved through Zoom because they're away. So that's why we've done that, and that's the summary of the survey.
Oh, was the meeting still going? It got real quiet in there.
So the chief was just saying that how Nee-Tahi-Buhn is on the list to move forward on the land code, and also to set up under the financial management board that you get funded $75,000 a year to get set up with for that. Yeah, that'd be good. Do you have any summertime celebration where a lot of people come to your community? Because that would be a good time to hold a meeting if you, or could you hold sort of a summer celebration and invite people to come? Okay. I mean, would people want to meet then though? No. Okay. And food. Right. Okay. Right. So that should work once you get that hooked up. Okay.
So,
Oh, I can hear you now.
yeah, so what I'll do is I'll try to fix that Cisco machine tomorrow when I come in. So does anybody have any more questions regarding CCP or have any ideas? Think that we might have missed something that we were talking about? The next, yeah, the next thing on the agenda was traditional use studies, which I couldn't find anything online. There's some in progress with CGL, according to CGL. The elder interviews, we tried to get some elders in today. Frank came in and we drew on some maps and stuff like that. But if you know anybody, if you know any elders or anybody who you think should be interviewed, please reach out to me at my email address and I will personally go visit them, maybe bring them some coffee or some smokes or something and hang out for a couple hours and interview them. Please reach out to me. I'm going to be doing that pretty much ongoing. Even, if I had someone who wanted to interview on Friday, I'd go to their house on this Friday. FNIP is another thing too that we really need to talk about, but that goes to where we're going to want to have the houses, where our central hub's going to be, like here at IR1. Are we going to have a gas bar? We're going to have a steel plant, band office, maybe other things that the community can be built around as well. a central hub where people can gather and hang out. And of course, housing being number one, we'll be working on housing at the same time, but getting those plans so we know how much we're going to spend, so we know what to tell ISK, so ISK has a good idea of what they're going to be receiving from us.
Just a comment on that, Charlie. If you may want to do the trip right away and include what you know now. How many houses where and the cost for the civil design. Is that is it you rebuild every year, right? It's 5 years and you remove it next year and add projects next year. But for the city, I mean, the government.
Okay.
Like just pick the 2 reserves we want to develop and confirm how many houses and services we get, and start kind of voting into.
I could have that. Yeah. So I'll do that. So what that's saying is to start with the now, we can add to it every revise it. So based on what we have now, housing, and the central hub, I can put in FNIP right now, just better sooner than later. So I'll get on that, and then next meeting I'll update the band members with what I had, or with what I did. The next thing, I mean, going into emergency, but this is EMBC and Finesse. So they're or Finesse. They've been coming out to the band office. I've had them both here. We've had some good meetings. They're going to help us revise and build some more specific emergency plans for Nee-Tahi-Buhn. Everyone probably knows about all the training I've been putting out. There's going to be EOC training. There's going to be wildland fire training. And I just want to encourage everybody on or off reserve. You can come to the south side and get the training through Nee-Tahi-Buhn. The more people we have sign up, the more opportunities there's going to be, because they need to have a certain amount of people in order to put on those trainings in the first place. So right now I'm working with Chislada, Skin Tai, and Nee-Tahi-Buhn. But once Nee-Tahi-Buhn has enough people signing up, we can just put on our own training. But we have to include those other bands just to get the numbers. So if you're off reserve, don't feel discouraged. Reach out to me and I'll get you signed up on one of those courses. And that's there's going to be a lot of courses regarding emergency coming up here.
Are you gonna be doing anything to
We're
like
going to
state
be putting
Travis?
together a men's group. So if you have any men that are Nee-Tahi-Buhn members that want to hang out once every 2 weeks or even once a month, have a barbecue, do some tasks, you know, maybe build a smokehouse, play some crib, whatever, I'll be putting that together. Another thing too is vehicle removal. There's a lot of vehicles on the reserves. Reach out to me if you have ones that you want to get removed. I'm going to be going around and marking them with spray paint. And if there's any vehicles that belong to you, when I have the people come in and they recycle the vehicle, I'll make sure that the money from that goes to the owner of the vehicle. If there's any unclaimed vehicles, I'll probably put it to something towards the band office, like something for the band office for all members to enjoy here. Water plant training and opportunities, something I posted on Facebook as well. A lot of these things, once we have our website, I'll be posting them on the website and updating the website and stuff. But right now, the water plant's looking for a part-time staff to train up. The training's all free through BLNDC. Chislada even offered their training center to train someone there. For that, you do need your GED and a driver's license. I tried to get around that, but they're pretty strict on that one. And it's just because the courses and stuff, it's like a prerequisite. The courses can be challenging, and they just want to make sure whoever they're training is going to stick around and is very serious about that. Oh yeah, it's on south side. It's a good paying job. The 2 people that are at the water plant are going to be retiring really soon. So getting that part-time person in, getting them trained up, that's going to turn into a full-time career right away. And if you're living on south side, that's a good job to have. You don't even have to travel that far, and it's a good paying job. Good way to build a foundation here on South Side. The Wet'suwet'en Culture and Language is releasing a book, Wet'suwet'en English Second Edition Dictionary. I asked them if they're affiliated with the Office of Wet'suwet'en. They said that they have nothing to do with them. I will say one of the sponsors on the book is the Office of Wet'suwet'en. They helped pay with some of the distribution because the books weigh 3 kilograms, and it's quite a bit of money to distribute them. So currently I'm looking at ways to get money or raise money so we can get those books to at least one household for each band member at Nee-Tahi-Buhn. So I'm looking at ways to get that money for that. One last thing too is go to Sasquatch Leather Arts on Facebook. That's a band member. They make mucklucks. Yeah, she's yeah. So for $95, you can get moccasins with Nee-Tahi-Buhn's band logo on it. She's based out of Vancouver, self-taught. If you go to her Facebook page, Sasquatch Leather Arts on Facebook, you'll see all her stuff. She does a really good job. I would support her if you can. And everybody who was in this meeting today, so wasn't that many of us, so I'm probably just going to do a draw for 2 people today, but I'll make sure Joel joined. We have Rachel. And then who else? Oh, Celine. So I'll make sure all of your names are added in the draw, and then you can win a hat, a hoodie, or a t-shirt, or some stickers. We'll see how lucky you are. Did anybody have anything to add? That's pretty much all I have to cover. I left the last little bit for discussion. And if you have any ideas or anything, just reach out to me. CCP is all about the community's engagement. I'm doing what the community wants, planning what the community wants. It's not what I want, so I have to go off of what I hear from the band members and what they tell me. So at any time, text message, email, phone call, I'm available 24/7 pretty much. So.
Hey, Travis.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm just getting over being sick. It's Rachel here. When you say you wanted to interview elders, they don't necessarily have to be Nee-Tahi-Buhn elders.
Oh, sorry,
Just...
one sec, Rachel. Try again, Rachel.
Oh, you mentioned that you wanted to interview elders or knowledge holders. My mom was trying to come back to Nee-Tahi-Buhn years ago with all of our Andrew family, but she was denied. And I was just wondering, you said you wanted to interview elders, like they don't necessarily have to belong to Nee-Tahi-Buhn. Can they just be elders within the community?
Anybody who has a connection to Nee-Tahi-Buhn, I definitely want to interview. Another example is George Morris, the one of the Reverend. George Morris was here. He's not a Nee-Tahi-Buhn member, right? George Morris was here. He's not a Nee-Tahi-Buhn member, but we talked and he told me stories about Mary Jane, because he's Mary Jane's nephew. So he's another elder I'm going to try to interview as well. He's not a band member, but he has that knowledge, and maybe he'll have some stories about some of the elders that passed on, and any information really from anybody that has a connection to the land. I would love to interview and sit down with, even over the phone, in person. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, definitely. I put your mom down though, Rachel.
Yeah, my aunt Karen lives in Victoria, and she just turned 60 a couple days ago. She's she knows a lot of history as well.
What's her last name?
Karen Melanie's.
Oh, Melanie's. Okay, maybe I'll reach out. Maybe I'll get more. Maybe if you get permission from her to give her information to me, I can reach out to her too. And I can do a phone interview with her, or even a FaceTime or something.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, and anybody else, just send them my way. And then what I'm going to do is all this information, I'm going to try to record it, transcribe it. If there's any pictures, I'll get the pictures restored. And then I want to make like a digital archive as well as a physical archive. And that way, if someone steals the physical stuff, at least we have a digital backup of everything, because it seems like Nee-Tahi-Buhn has bad luck with things disappearing. And that's like pretty important history, some of it that's walked away. So we want to avoid that in the future, especially all the hard work, you know, and so, yeah, thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, for sure.
Who has those documents? Yeah, so we're also, I'm going to be reaching out to a historian, and we're going to try to track down some records that maybe the universities have or that the government archives have that aren't necessarily public information. But if somebody requests the information that works for the band, then they can send that information to that person, and then hopefully I might be able to find something that way too. I also reached out to Carla Lewis, who did interviews back in 1989, and she's going to find out she's going to get all her interviews from 1989 and send them my way. She's just very busy, so I have to be patient with Carla. And that's pretty much what I got going on for history. I know Linda too. Linda told me she has a bunch of photos. So I'm going to see if I can either bring a scanner to Linda's house or get the photos, get them all digitalized, and then bring them back to Linda, because she has a lot of history too. So she's another one that I'm going to interview too. Linda, Frank, Marianne, George. Like I have a list, and they'll probably get bigger, but I want to make sure I get everybody. So I can ask Chantel one more time even and just check. So Ray was just saying there was some recordings at recorded cassette tapes at the BLNDC from what 15 years ago. Oh, from the 1970s. Last time Ray asked, they couldn't find them. So what I'll do is I'm going to ask Chantel Tom at BLNDC to see if she has any access to those recordings, and if so, we can pay someone to copy them or do it ourselves. Depends on what their process is.
When there was a separation with Nee-Tahi-Buhn and Skin Fighting, at one point I'm assuming all of the files were on band office. What happened in the 80s when the band split up? Yeah, so some of your files on the history on Well, during the court case, if you have much to share,
And even asking bands about that. I think you have to approach it a certain way. People, yeah. There's something.
oh. Maybe we could get food after
With the Russians. China too, they did that, or no, North Korea, I remember they made that movie making fun of Kim Jong-un. With the interview, and then North Korea hacked into Sony's database and released it for free on the internet, so they couldn't make it up. Yeah, that was North Korea. Yeah. All right, everyone, is there any more questions before we shut her down?
Not that I can think of.
Thanks for showing up, Joel, Rachel.
What are you guys
Yeah,
doing
but-
for Indigenous Day or something like that?
Well, for Aboriginal, I didn't cover Aboriginal Day, but Aboriginal Day, I'll give you guys a quick update.
Sure. I was just wondering because I'll be in camp at the so I'll be in the area, so probably come by and
So-
visit.
The parade starts at 10 a.m. And then there's open mic on the stage from 4 to 5. So if you want to go tell your jokes or sing for us, you can, Joel. Jesse Ogan, 5 o'clock. Elvis impersonator, who's Fred Steen, 6 o'clock. 2 old ladies, 7 o'clock. Lagusty, 8 o'clock. So that's going to be busy. And that's going to be taking place. It'll be at the same place. There'll be potato dance, moose pole, noose making, musical chairs, archery, hair braiding, face painting, volleyball, pontoon rides, kids corner, LBM traditional drummers, and Wasuit impersonation is going to do Lahal. That's the stick game. And what else is going on? There'll be a bunch of raffles, and yeah, that's pretty much what's going on Aboriginal Day, April 21st. And since there's lots of work in the area, they've received more donations than they've ever received. This is the first one in 3 years, so it's going to be a good one. I think it'd be worth showing up for sure. And if you know anybody who wants to volunteer for Aboriginal Day, let me know, because they're having a really hard time getting volunteers. But yeah.
Is Nee-Tahi-Buhn doing a float?
I just posted those. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So Ray was saying we have 2 trailers that we could use for floats. So what I'll do is I'll send the applications to the nonprofit, and then I'll send another application to maybe health. And I mean, the nonprofit can do a float, or the health department can do a float, or if there's a group of people that come together that want to do a Nee-Tahi-Buhn float, by all means. It's just I've put out a lot of calls and no one has reached out to me at all. Yeah, so right now we don't have any bites on the floats, and the nonprofit has to get registered before they can do one. But I mean, health can do one, or the band members can come together and do one, but that would be all through people coming forward and helping with that. Aboriginal Day is getting pretty close, but it's not too late. But yeah, we just need people that come and be engaged to do that. And right now there's not much engagement with the community. I wish there was, but yeah. So, and there's also been calls for vendors too, because Indigenous people can set up for $50, they can set up a booth and sell stuff. You can also, people can raise money as long as you let us know ahead of time. You can set up a booth to raise money. There's lots of stuff like that going on. So I can post everything again on Facebook. I have all the forms, call for bids, call for everything. I can post it all again, but I posted it twice now and I haven't had a single bite. Anything else?
Oh, okay, I see it. Okay. I was just looking at the page now.
Oh, okay. Be more active, Joel.
Not on social
Cool.
media much anymore.
Troll our Facebook, even if you troll him. Yep, I do. Not for CCP. I've just been using our Nee-Tahi-Buhn member page. But I did take note of creating a CCP one. Yeah, I could even do like a little sub group from our main Facebook page. Yeah.
This was at the S100 you were talking about fire training?
Yeah, so so far I have me, Ray, Jimmy, Jordan, and Mark signed up. I'm gonna ask Celine and but we want to get at least 15 to 22 people before we can set a date. So we don't have a date yet. Oh, S100, Joel?
Yeah, I was asking if that was S100 or.
The only, Vanessa just told me wildland firefighting course.
Okay.
That's all it is. But Sylvia on Facebook asked if it was physically demanding or if it can create job opportunities. Yes, it can be physically demanding in the case of a fire. The training, not so much. But in the summertime, when it's fire season, you can use that course to be contracted to fight wildfires during fire season. So it could create some job opportunities during the season.
Yeah, maybe if that's successful, you could do like first aid or something for everybody too, eh?
They do have first aid going on, power saw training and all that. I already put a thing out on Facebook and nobody signed up. So there's those courses too that are going on. I think they're already paid for too. Child first aid, power saw training, and something else I forget, but yeah. But I'll keep them posted. I can do tomorrow. I can do a big update on Facebook and kind of refresh the feed for all the Aboriginal Day stuff, and I can do all the training and opportunities too. I'll post it all again. And the wildland firefighting course, just remember that's a 7-day course, but I think it's good. I think it's good to have. But yeah, so far we got about 5 people. And then if you know anybody that's a Nee-Tahi-Buhn member, let me know. Even Skin Tai or Chislata, we just want to keep the training on south side. We want to avoid going to north side. If we can do everything on south side, that's really good. Anything else online?
Yeah, good job.
Thanks, Joel. Means a lot coming from you. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you have a good afternoon. Take it easy, Joel. And see you later, Rachel.
Travis.
You too.
Oh,
Love
Rachel,
you all.
did you want to say something, Rachel?
Oh, no, I was just saying thank you for all the updates and info sessions.
No problem. And I'm gonna try to do this more regularly. It's just the last couple of months there was a lot of community meetings, and I didn't want to have another meeting too close to a community meeting. I wanted to space it out, but I'm gonna try to have them more frequently, maybe once a month or whatever. So probably in the next week you'll see a posting for another one. Have a good night, Rachel. See you later, Joel.
See you guys later.
Bye, Trav.